I've had some great experiences on LSD and mushrooms. Being able to think in an alternative pattern has helped me in so many ways. But let me assure you, with my psychonautically afflicted brain, I cannot tell you what Milk Closet is actually all about. Brought to you by the insane Hitoshi Tomizawa, Milk Closet is a sci-fi body horror manga that tells a story, I guess. This was recommended to me by a subscriber of mine. Thank you, Alex. This was an interesting read. Milk Closet opens in the year 2005. Children all over the globe start disappearing for no goddamn reason. The adult population is mildly concerned, and one doctor in all of Japan is on the case. Dubbed the Liso phenomenon, most of the vanished kids don't come back. But a few do. These kids, however, return to Earth with weird, sentient tales and strange anamorphic powers. This one and only doctor that's presiding over this entire project comes to the conclusion that the children are traveling to another dimension and assumes that they can help find the missing kids and return them back to the human world. Now, this premise is interesting. It was a little hard to understand at first because most of the cast act very antisocial to one another, so they don't really communicate with each other. You're just told things that are happening or what to expect in the upcoming scene. You're expected to keep up, so whatever. I didn't get to rip today, so I'm pretty caught up with the plot. or so I thought. Out of nowhere, the author experiences some form of intense indignation and decides to tilt the plot. Liso, known as Sis by the children of the cast, shows up and basically writes the doctor out of the manga. She essentially takes his place and the story goes with these continuity changes. This was very weird. The author pulled an obvious retcon to the world he was building up within the first volume. This wasn't a misdirect, it was just very clunky writing. The kids now travel to designated universes. Think of this shit as a multiverse, and they fight bug-like aliens in an attempt to save the others. Now they'll be drafted into the Milk Closet and find other universes that can merge with their current universe. You'll find that I haven't mentioned any names, identified who the main character girl is, any of the love interests, etc. And there's a reason for that. If you're interested in reading Milk Closet, I want you to go in with as little information as possible. I just want you to know enough about the plot over the 4 volumes, but I'm going to leave out a few things that you really need to experience for yourself. From here on out, I'm going to be writing the script, recording the video, and subsequently editing it high off my mind because there is no way in hell I can get through talking about Milk Closet sober. After volume 2, things get bonkers. Characters begin showing up at the absolute right time, out of nowhere, in each chapter. In fact, a trend starts happening. I believe the mangaka has deep-rooted trauma from adult figures. Surrogate female figures are in an abundance in Milk Closet, but literally each one of them are deceitful, even envious of the abilities of the young children. The male figures are untrustworthy, incompetent, and all experience horrible ends. The amount of body horror increases with each chapter. Children get eaten up, spat out, cosmically impregnated, cloned, tortured, flambéed, diced up, sliced up, subjected to irrefutable evidence that God has abandoned us, leaving behind a failed experiment that will soon extinguish itself through carnal sin, buried alive, split apart, repeatedly poisoned in a U-turn toxic spikes lock, and not once are they ever thanked. The plot dissolves into insane body horror and multiple alien factions getting involved, and at one point, Universe 600, where the story started, collapses within itself when the Milk Closet team fails to create the Grand Universe for the first time. I think there was supposed to be an emotional response that the reader was supposed to be sledgehammered with, but nope, nothing. I don't feel anything at all towards these characters. I don't feel anything at all towards the plot. I read Alien 9, the author's previous work. That manga had the exact same themes as Milk Closet, but it was able to tell a more coherent, more entertaining story in a shorter runtime. While their art improves a bit over the course of this run, the writing is absolutely atrocious. It makes no sense. Nothing makes sense. Another doctor shows up and he has a weird body for no good reason. It's mentioned but not explained, and his only contributions is to be the only adult in the milk closet and to get brutally mutilated in all of his appearances. It's too bad that the mangaka absolutely sucks at illustrating battle scenes. Characters don't fight. They just hurt each other like it's a turn-based RPG, and then they rest for like 5 minutes, several meters apart, and then they continue their battle. What the hell is going on here? Out of nowhere, the children all assimilate into one another, becoming the ultimate lolly or some shit. I have no fucking clue. I was afraid of fan service popping up at some point, but the mangaka doesn't do that, so I'm grateful. The aesthetic is honestly the only thing that kept me going here. All the alien designs looked really good. They even acted the most human of the cast, funny enough. Maybe Tomizawa just sucks at writing young children? Anyway, the newly merged Lolita battles the enemy ant people and the whales, but it turns out that they're actually on the same side. They redirect their attention to this weird grasshopper dude who is actually like the coolest character in the series, but hey, he doesn't fucking matter anyway. You wanna know why? Because by chapter 17, out of nowhere, they introduce the three grandmothers, and it's just a throwaway line. It's not even mentioned again in the series. It's done so clumsily, and I feel that maybe the manga was getting cancelled, which is why it's never brought up again. You know what? I'm sure this manga was about to get cancelled. We experience yet another retcon. The recently recruited / resurrected children from the other Milk Closet universes are all sentenced to death for failing to create a grand universe in the current world that they're battling in. Turns out Liesel, remember her? Yeah, she was a baddie all along and convinces the girls to die for their failures. I don't know, man. I didn't see any target base they had to reach. But the kids don't want to die, not after coming this far. Instead, one of the amalgamated girls decides to have a child with the main boy, Toru or something. God, I really don't know. But they envelop the other children and the rest of the matter in the universe to become the ultimate parents. From here, they embrace each other in a cradle-like fashion where their children are continuously born in a cycle that will eventually bleed out into the creation of a new grand universe, sewn together with their very blood and plasma and umbilical fluids. This is the last manga that I'm ever going to read. I give up on manga, I give up on humanity. I'm joking. Wow, what a trip. What are my thoughts on Milk Closet? It was really bizarre. The author wanted to do so much, and I believe his time was cut short. There are some ideas that I would have loved for the mangaka to stay on for a little while longer and really chew. There are far too many characters, and yet the worlds feel empty. Multiverse writing wasn't common during the early 2000s, but there really was no excuse for such a poor example of the one in Milk Closet. I wanted to decipher the philosophical points that the mangaka was trying to make, but they got way too heady so often that the story became indecipherable. By chapter 11, I just wanted it all to end. I think if Tomizawa were to ever return to writing manga, they would be best to collaborate with a strong writer. They aren't very good at anything aside from art, TBH. I think they'd partner up very well with a mangaka like Ryo Yasuhachi of Immortal Hounds fame as the sole writer. Milk Closet was very weird. Definitely one of the odder stories that I've come across. It was running during the same era as Narutaru and Serial Experiments Lane, and honestly, I don't really regret this read. It's very much of its time, like those aforementioned series, but there are some elements that I enjoyed, elements that I don't see covered much in modern manga. On the other hand, I also believe that this is a great example as to why some mangaka need to have an editor in their ear at all times, reining them in. Milk Closet is a 4 out of 10.